Okay, so welcome to this tutorial, and we're going to be looking at complex numbers. So they're telling us, first of all, to express each of the following complex number in the form a plus bi. A and bi are just what? Real numbers. So for the first one, we have a minus 4i and then squared there. So we all know that this just means that 1 minus 4i and then squared. So one thing that we must know about this real about these complex numbers, that they're made up of the real part and the what? Imaginary part. So you guessed it, that the part that has the I is the what? Imaginary part. That I just means what? Negative root of 1. And we have that I squared is just going to be equal to what? Negative 1. Because when you square this, you square that root, because you just have negative 1. So this here will be useful when it comes to what? To what we're doing. So this here, just as I was saying, that is just 1 minus 4i and then multiply by 1 minus what? 4i. So here when you multiply those, you get 1 multiplied by 1 gives you 1. 1 multiplied by that there gives you negative 4i. And then 1 negative 4i by 1 gives you negative 4i. Then I can multiply that. That is going to be negative by negative gives me positive. 4 multiplied by 4 is just what? 16. And then I, you have squared there. So this is just going to be 1. I add this, I get 8i. But then where there's I squared, I can replace what? That negative 1, which just gives me this will be plus 16 negative 1 there. This gives us what? Negative 16. But then you have 1 minus the what? So it will be 1 minus 16, and then you have negative what? 8 there. So this will give you negative what? 5, and then minus what? 8, and then the I is going to be what? To be there. Okay, so you would have expressed now this in the form what? Which they are requiring of us, like that. Okay, that's how we do this one. Let's go on to the next one. If you like, since they have a negative here, you would have even factored out that negative. You say 15 plus 8i, like that. There's no problem. Okay, so let's go on to doing the next one. So next here, we just have this one here. Again, we're going to multiply. That's 4 multiplied by 2. That gives us 8. 4 multiplied by that 3i. That's going to give us 12i. And then you have negative I by 2 gives you negative 2i. And then this here gives us negative. I multiply that there, I just get 3 what? I squared. And then I can add. So I say 8. Where there's I squared, I put my negative, and I get negative by negative. That will give me positive. So that we plus what? The 3. So that 3i becomes, here I put negative, I get negative by negative to positive. So I get 3. And then here I can subtract, I just get that will be plus what? 10i. So this here just simplifies to, I add these 2, I just get 11 plus what? 10, and then the I. Okay, so that's what I get here as my answer. Okay, let's go on and do the next one. So next there we have you have 1 minus 2. Okay, so you have 1 minus 2i and then cubed. So this is just 1 minus 2i multiplied by 1 minus 2i again multiplied by 1 minus what? 2i. So the first one you get 1 multiplied by 1, 1. Then you get 1 multiplied by that, you get negative 2 what? 2i. But then you have the 2 of them, so that would be just 4i, negative 4i. And then this multiplied by that, it's going to be positive 2, positive 4, and then I squared there. And then I can then multiply this by 1 minus 2i. So this would be 1, and then this here I squared, can put that negative there on the I squared. That gives me negative 4. And then you get minus what? 4i. And then just like that, 1 minus 2i. So this here gives you, that is negative 3i minus 4i. And then you have 1 minus 2i. Again, here you multiply. So 3 multiplied by 1 gives us negative 3. Negative 3 by that there give us positive 6 what? 6i. And then you have 4i. Multiplied by that, you get negative 4i. then that multiplied by that gives us positive 8i squared. So I replace the I squared with negative 1. That is going to give me, I'll get negative 3. There I get negative what? 8. I can subtract the 2. That gives me positive 2i. And then this here is just going to be equal to, I add that there, I get negative 11 plus 2 what? 2i. And that there is going to be my answer. Okay. Let's do the next one. So you have, okay, so the next one you have, that is 2 multiplied by what? By I. And then you have to the power what? To the power 4. So what I'm going to do is, first I'll just get 2 minus 2i multiplied by 2 minus what? 2i. So this here is going to give me, that is, that multiplied by that gives me what? 4. That multiplied by that, I get negative 2i. That by that gives me negative 2i. That by that gives me positive I squared. Then you get 4 there. The I squared, replace that with negative 1, you get negative 1. There you add, you get negative 4i. And this here gives us 3 minus 4i. Okay, so this is what I get when I multiply 2 of them. So in short, 2 minus what? I squared is equal to this. So now that means from here, these are 2 of them. That is 2 minus I and another squared. So I can just replace that with what I found. So in short, this 2 minus 4, the power 4, I can write this. I'm going to be getting that to be a product of 3 minus 4i, and then 3 minus what? 4i. Okay, since that's what I get there. Okay, so here I'm going to just replace, and I'll have that this is going to be equal to, so 3 by 3 gives you not 9. 3 by that there I get negative 12i, and then negative 4 by the 3 gives me negative what? 12i, and then that by that gives me positive, that is positive what? 16, and then the I what? Squared. So I have, this would be 9, and then minus what? Minus 16, and then minus 24i. So this is going to be just, so 9 minus what? 16 gives me negative 7. So that will be negative 7 minus what? 24, and then you have your I there. Okay, and you can also factor out that negative if you so like. So you have that plus 4, and then the I like that. Okay, so this is the answer that I get, either ending it here or there. So I could end it here also. All right, so that's what I get. Let's now look at the next one. So next we have one. So now when it comes to dividing of complex numbers, you have 1 plus root 2 here, and then I, and then there you have root 8, and then minus what? 3i. So when it comes to dividing here, when it comes to dividing complex numbers, you're going to employ, that is rationalizing the what? The denominator. So first of all, I'm going to write this root 8. See, this root 8 is just this is just root 4, root what? Root 2, which just gives us 2 root 2. So I can replace that there, such that I have 1 plus square root of 2i, and then there I just have what? 2 square root of 2 minus 3i. So now I'll multiply by the conjugate of what I have in the what? Denominator. That will be multiplied by 2 square root of 2. So that sign changes from negative to positive, and then 3i, and then over 2 root 2 plus 3 what? 3i. So this is going to give me, so there on top I have 1 multiplied by that root 2, so to be root 2, like that, and then 1 multiplied by the other part, I get, that is 3i. And then you have this square root of 2i multiplied by this root, this 2 roots 2. So you see that when you multiply that there, you just have, so that there just gives us what? So you have 2, you have the root 2 multiplying what? 2 root 2. So this root 2 is going to cancel, and then you just have 2 multiplied by 2, which is what? 4. And then you have what? You have the I. So that just gives you, this will be plus 4 what? I. and then that multiplied by the last part, you just get that is going to be plus 3 square root of 2, and then I what? I squared. Down there, you just going to get that is 2 square root of what? Of 2, like that, 2 square root of 2. So you square that one, and then plus. The reason why we are adding here in this case is because that I squared is always going to give us what? Is going to give us -1. But that -1 will multiply with a negative that we have, which will give us a positive. So then when it comes to dealing with complex numbers and you're dividing, you're dividing those complex numbers, or you're trying to rationalize the denominator. When it comes to this stage, you just get the number there, you square it, and then you add for it, because you know that that -1, when it comes out there, and I square it, it's going to be what? Positive. And then you get the other number, which is 3, and then you square it. So this here is going to give us on top there, you're going to have this I squared. I put that negative, so I get that to be -3 root what? Root 2. And then I can now add this. So 2, that's 2 root 2 minus the 3. That's going to give me negative what? Square root of 2. And then there you can add the 3 plus the 3 plus the 4 gives me 7i. Down there, you square that, you just get 4 multiplied by the 2. That is going to give me what? 8. And then that there is just 9 squared. So, 3 squared is just 9. Okay, so I get, so 8, what is 8 plus 9? So 8 plus 9 is 17. So this here is just going to be equal to negative root 2, then plus 7i over what? 17. Furthermore, because they've told me to write it in that form, which is given there. So I will divide, so that will be negative root 7 over what? 17, then plus 7 over what? 17, and then the I will go there. Okay, so this is how you would have written it in that form. All right, let us follow up to the next one. So the next one requires me to rationalize the first part and then the second part. So you have 1 plus 2i, and then over 1 minus I, and there you have plus 1 minus 2i over, that is 1 plus what? 3i. So here, the first one, that is going to be 1 plus 2i, and then you have 1 minus I. So you're going to multiply by what? Its conjugate. That is going to be 1 plus I now, and then down there you have 1 plus what? Plus I. So this here is going to give us, you have 1 multiplied by 1 gives you 1, then 1 multiplied by the I there gives you what? I. And then you have 2 multiplied by the 1 there gives you 2i, 2 multiplied by that I, that's just going to give you, by now you know you get a -1 from that there, and then you get a 2 there. Okay, and then down there just square the 1, and then plus the coefficient in front of that I is just also what? 1. So you square the 1 there. So this here is just going to give you, here subtract 1 minus 2 gives us -1. And then there you add those 2, you just get that is what? 3 what? 3i. And then down there you have 1 plus 1 is going to give you what? That's going to give you 2. So you have -1 plus 3i over what? Over 2. So I'm going to keep this. And then let's look at the second part, which is I'm going to rationalize. That is -1 minus 2i over, that is 1 plus what? 3i. Okay, so this here I'm going to multiply by that its conjugate, that is 1 minus 3i, and down there 1 minus what? 3i. So on top I get 1 by 1 gives me 1, 1 multiplied by 3, I get 3i there, the negative by that gives me -2i, then that by that will be a positive, but then because of the I squared, I'll get negative there, negative what? 6. So I get -6 over, square the 1, plus then I square the what? The 3. So that will be 3 what? 3 squared. So this is going to give me, subtract there, I get -5. 1 minus 6 gives me -5. Then there I can add, I get -5 what? I. And down there, 1 squared. And then you have what? This 3 So 3 squared, that will be 1 plus 9, which just gives me 10. So that will be negative 5 minus negative I over what? Over 10. And then notice that I can simplify this. That is 2 can go into, if I factor out a 5 there on top, factor out that negative 5, I'll just have that's 1, then you have a plus what? Plus I, and then 10 there. So 5 there, that is 1, 5 there, 2. So you just end up having, so here we just end up having, that is, you have negative, then you have 1 plus what? Plus I, then over the what? The 2 there. Okay, so now you notice why I kept the 2 on the first one. So now this is going to come out to play. Now we can combine everything. The first part, which is this one, then we're adding. So we're just adding negative 1 plus 3I, then over 2 plus, that is going to be this other one there, which is just negative 1 plus I over the 2. So they have the same denominator, so just say 2 there, and then say negative 1. Distribute that 2 there, you just get, so that's be negative 1 plus 3I. There you get negative 1, and there you get negative I. So this here is going to be equal to, so that they are negative and negative, I add them, I get negative 2. That and that subtract, I get, that would be plus 2I, then over 2. Divide 2 into there, you get negative 1. 2 into there, you get positive 1, which just leaves you with what? With I. So I've written it in that form as required. Okay, so next they're telling us solve each of the following quadratic equations, then give your solutions in the form A plus what? BI, and then where A and B are what? Are just real numbers. So we start with the first one, that is x squared plus 4x, and then you have plus 5 is equal to 0. So how do we solve this? Let's try to factor there. So we say our product is just 5, our sum is what? Is 4. Then what do we get as our factors? So we want, when we add, we should get that is, we should get 4, and then when we multiply, we should get what? We should get 5. So what are those two numbers that when we multiply, we should get 5, and then when we add, we should get 4. Okay, what two numbers are those going to be? I'm not seeing any off of the top of my head. So I'll result in completing the square. So I'll just say x plus half that coefficient of x, I get 2. I square it, and then minus the square of it, that is going to be square the 2 plus 5, and then equal to 0. So I get x plus 2 squared, that there gives me minus 4 plus what? 5, gives me 0. Then I get x plus 2 squared. This here is going to give me positive 1 equal to 0. Can take the positive 1 the other side. I get x squared plus 2 squared is equal to negative 1. Then I get that root, then I get the what? The square root that side. So I get plus minus there. So this here is going to give me, that's x plus 2 is equal to plus minus root of negative 1. And then you have x is equal to what? 2, that is 2. And then you have what? Plus minus. So this root of negative 1 is just what? Is just I. So I can replace that to say that will be x 2 plus minus what? I. So the values that I'm going to get here, the values that I get, I just have x is equal to 2 minus I, or x is equal to 2 what? Plus I. Okay, so I have gotten those values in what? In that form. Okay, let's go on into the next one. Okay, so next you have x squared minus 6x plus 10. So we'll go directly and just complete the square here. That's x3 squared minus 3. You square that, negative 3 gives you what? It's going to give you a 9. And then plus what? 10 is equal to 0. So this will be x minus 3 squared. You add those, that's going to give you a positive 1 equal to 0. Take that the other side, you get x minus 3 squared is equal to, that is going to be negative 1. Take the square root on both sides, you get 3. There you just get plus minus root of negative 1, which is just I, and you get x to be equal to, that is, you're going to get 3 there, plus minus what? I, which is just the values that you're going to what? You're going to get. So you know one will have a negative, the other one is going to have a what? It's going to have a positive. Okay, next we have x squared minus 2x then plus 8 is equal to 0. Complete the square again. So completing the square here, you just get, this is going to be x minus 1 and then square minus square the negative 1 gives you 1 plus what? Plus 8, and this here gives you 0, and there you're just going to have x minus 1 squared. That there is going to give you 7 is equal to 0. Take the 7 the other side, so that would be x minus 1 squared. That's negative 7. Get the square root on both sides. So they are just going to have plus minus. So that would be x minus 1 is equal to plus minus. So that I can write as square root of 7 multiplied by square root of what? Negative 1. And this will be x is equal to 1 plus minus square root of what? 7. That negative root negative 1 I can write as I. So I get my values as x to be equal to 1, that is plus, can be root 7i, or you have 1 minus, that is root 7i. So that's what I get. Okay, go on to the next one. Next one, you have x squared minus 4x then plus 7 equal to 0. So that is going to be x minus 2, square that, minus square the 2, you get 4, plus the 7 is equal to 0. So that is going to be x minus 2 squared. Add there, I get 3 and equal to 0. Then I say x minus 2 squared. Then that 3 goes the other side, becomes negative. Take the square root on both sides, plus minus. So you get x there to be equal to, that 2 goes, you get to be positive, plus minus, then root what? 3, and then the I is going to come out there. So this just gives me the answers: 2 plus square root of 3i, or 2 minus that square root of 3i. Okay, so this is what I get. Next, we just have, that is 3x squared minus 4x and then plus 2 equal to 0. So I can factor out a 3 here first. Factor out a 3, I get squared there minus 4 over what? 3x and then plus 2 over what? 3 there is equal to 0. Then I can complete the square there inside. So that's just going to be x minus, so half of this is just 4 over what? Half of this is 4 over 6. And 4 over 6 is just 2 over what? 2 over 3. So I just get 2 over what? 3 here. Yeah, because they're halving there. So 2 over what? 2 over 3. And then square minus, I square this here, it just gives me 4 over what? 9. Then plus 2 over 3 and equal to 0, like that. So this here, I'm going to get, it is going to be negative 4 over 9, and then plus, that is 2 over what? 3. That gives me 2 over what? 2 over 9. So I multiply this here, the 3, I get 3 there, x minus 2 over 3 squared, multiplied by the 2 over 9 that I get. So multiplied by 3 there, I just get that I'll have positive 2 over 3 here, which is going to be equal to 0. Then I can take that the other side. So I have x minus 2 over 3 squared is equal to negative 2 over 3. You have a 3 here. Multiplied by 1 over 3, multiplied by 1 over 3. So this here is just going to give us x minus 2 over 3 squared is equal to, there you get negative 2 over what? 9. Then you can get the square root now on both sides. That's going to give us x is equal to, there you get 3 plus minus, and then you have what? Root 2 there. Then you have square root of what? Of 9. But square root of 9, in short, okay, let me write it again. So that is going to be square root of 2 over 9. There's a negative sign there. Then that is 2 over 3 plus minus. There on top you have negative root 2. There down you just get what? 3. Okay. And then this here is just going to be, so on top there, you just have, that is going to be 2. You can write 2 plus minus. That's square root of negative, this root negative 2. That there I'll just write as 2. Then the what? The I. Since that there is just multiplying, that is 2 multiplied by what? Negative I. It still gives you that negative 2. And then that there I replace with the what? With the I. And down there they have the same denominator, so I can just write 3 there. So these values are just going to be, I'll be getting 2. Okay, I can write it that way, or since in the standard that they want, I'll just be dividing. That is, this one goes there, that is 2, 3, and then you have plus root of what? 2 over what? Over 3i, or the other one, which is 2 over 3 minus root 2 over what? Over 3, and then you have the I. Okay. So let's do the last one here. So the last there is just 4x squared minus 2x then plus 7 equal to 0. So I factor out that the 4. So you have 4, and then you have x squared, and then there you are gonna get half, yeah, half x, and then plus 7 over 4 equal to 0. And that is going to be 4. There you have x. So you have the half. That is going to be 1 over what? Over 4. And then squared minus square the 1 over 4. You just get 1 over what? 16. And then plus 7 over what? Over 4 equal to 0. So you have 7 over 4. And then minus, that is 1 over what? That's 16, which gives me 27 over what? 16. So you get 4x here minus 1 over what? 4 squared. Then here we're getting 27 over what? Over 16, but I can multiply that by 4, which just gives me, that will be plus 27 over what? Over 4. And this will be equal to 0. Then I take that the other side. I just get, this is 4x minus 1 over 4 squared is equal to 27 over what? 4. That's negative. Then multiply by this negative 4. Multiply by this 1 over 4. That side 1 over what? 4. So that is x minus 1 over 4 squared is equal to, there I get negative 27 over what? Over 16. And then I can get the square root on both sides, like that. So that's going to give me x minus 1 over 4. That's going to be plus minus there on top. On top there, you can write that as so that negative 27. We can write that as root. That is 9 by what? 9 by 3. Yes, 9 by 3. So you can write that as 9 by what? By 3, and then by the negative 1. But I'll remove the negative 1 for it to be on its own. Down there, square root of 16 just gives me 4. And then you have that this is going to be... Okay, so what are we going to get there? So we have x. I take the 1 over 4 the other side, and then I have plus minus. So this 3 here, square root of 9 is just 3. And then I have what? Root 3 there. And that negative root 1 is just what? I. And then over what? Over 4. Okay, so meaning your answer is just going to be 1 over 4. Then you have plus there 3 root 3 over 4i, or the other one that is just x equal to 1 over 4 minus 3 root 3 over 4, and then your I. Okay, so this here is what I get to be answer. All right, let's move on to look at another question. So the next question here is telling us to solve for x and to solve for what? For y. So let's begin with the first one, that is x plus yi, and then you have 2 plus the 5i equal to 17 minus, there 17 minus I. So this here is going to be, I multiply first of all, so 2, this x multiplied by the 2, that's going to give me 2x, then I get x multiplied by that, there I get, that's 5 x, and then I, and you have we multiply next this that is yi multiplied by the 2, that will be 2 yi, and then the other one I multiply there, that I'm just going to get to be 5 y. The I squared, I replace negative 1 is equal to 17 minus I. So this here is going to give you 2x plus 5xi, and then you have plus 2yi, and then there you multiply, you get, that's just going to be, that there is going to give you negative 5 what? Y is equal to 17, and then minus your what? Your I. So here I'll group the real part to the real part, and the imaginary part to the what? Imaginary part. So I have 2x being real, and then minus what? 5y. That's real. And then the imaginary part, you have that there is just going to be 5x, and then plus what? Plus 2 y, and then the I there is equal to 17 minus I. So what you do here, when it comes to solving such equations, you equate the real part to the real part, the imaginary part to the imaginary part. So this will be 2x minus 5y is equal to what? 17. And then you have the other one, which is the 5x plus 2y is going to be equal to what? So you don't write the I when you're equating, just equate the coefficient. So they are equate to negative what? Negative 1, because there's a negative 1 there that is in front. Okay, so what is this then going to give us? So this here, I can make either one of them. So I'll say maybe 2x. So 2x will be equal to, that's 17 minus what? 5y, like that. And then I say x is equal to 17 over what? 5y over 2. So I get this here, this value, and I'll replace what? In equation 2, this one there. So I say 5 then what is x? I'll replace 17 minus, that is 5y over what? Over 2. And then you have a plus 2y is equal to what? Negative 1. Okay, so this then just is going to be this here is just going to be, so 17, you can say that 5 multiplied by what? 17, that gives you 85. And then you have 5 multiplied by 5, which is just 20, what? 25. And over 2, so 25y, and then over 2 plus, then 2y there is equal to negative 1. Okay, multiply by 2 throughout. So I multiply by what? 2 throughout. And then I'm going to have, if I multiply by 2 throughout, I'm going to have that that's going to be 85 minus 20 what? 25y. And then you have that to be plus 4y is equal to what? Negative 2. Okay, so these here I can add them, which just gives me 85. So I can take even this 85 the other side. So I just have add these two, I get that would be negative 21y is equal to, take this other side, I get negative 85, then that plus that negative 2 gives me negative what? 87. So that 87 divided by 21. So I divide here by 21, there by what? 21. So my y is going to be, that is going to be 87 over what? 21. So that simplifies to 29 over what? Over 7. So I get 29 over what? Over 7. So 3 here can go into there on top 29 times, and then there 7 times. So negative here, because there's a negative sign there. Okay. So negative, oh, there's a negative on both of them. So negative, negative give you positive. So you get 29 over what? 7. So our y value we found to be what? 29 over 7. Now let's do for the x. So the x value just means that I replace, so here this equation that I had, I can just replace my y there. So I have x is equal to 17 minus 5, and then y is just 29 over what? Over 7. And then this here divided what? By 2. So what do I get? So I get this 5 multiplied by that 29. So you have, okay, so that multiplied by 29, you're just going to have, that's going to be equal to 17 minus, that is the 145 over what? Over 7, then divided by what? By 2. So I can say 17 minus that there, I'm going to get, this is going to be negative 26 over what? 7, then divided by what? Divided by 2. So I'll say that divided by 2, and I get this here just simplifies to, this gives me negative 13 over what? Over 7. So is my x value is just negative what? 13 over 7. Okay, so this is what I get. Okay, so next you have this 11 plus 10i, and then down there you have x plus yi, and then equal to 4 minus I. Okay, so what are we then going to what? What are we gonna do with this one here? So you can either cross multiply, that you say 1, and then you multiply, that is x plus 2i, and then multiply by the 4 minus I, then equal to 11 plus 10I. So this here gives me 4x, that there gives me negative xi, that there is going to give me, that is this multiplied by that there gives me positive 4yi, and that by that gives me negative, that is negative yi squared, so that is equal to 11 plus 10 what I. So there I get 4x minus xi, then plus 4yi. There you get, put the negative and you just get that to be positive what? Positive y is equal to 11 plus 10I. So now I can write that the rule part is just going to be 4x plus y, and then there you have the other one, which is going to be that there is just going to be plus, then I have negative what? X, negative x plus 4y, and then the I there is equal to 11 plus 10 what? 10I. So the rule part, again, you equate to the rule part, the imaginary part, you equate to the what? Imaginary part. So this here just gives me 4x plus y equal to what? 11. And then the other one, negative x plus what? 4y, there is just going to be equal to 10. So here using this one here, say negative x is equal to 10 minus 4y, then I divide by negative, I just have this here, that's going to be 4y minus what? 10. Okay, so I get this value of x, I replace in the other one, I get 4, where there's x, I put 4y minus what? 10, then plus y, there is equal to 11. So this is going to be, multiply that, I get 16y, multiply 4 by that, I get negative 40, and then plus y is equal to 11. So I add that, I'm going to get 17. Take the 40 to the other side, that will be 40. 40 plus what? 11. And this gives me 50 what? 51. So I get this implies I have 17 is equal to what? 17y is equal to 51. Divide by 17, divide by 17 there. So I have 51 over what? 17. Okay, and that there just gives me 3. So y is equal to what? To 3. So I've gotten that the value of y is just what? Is just 3. And then I can use that that value of y. Then I get the equation, which is this one, where I said x is equal to 4y minus 10. So 4, where there's y, I put 3 minus 10. And this here gives me, there I multiply, I just get 12 minus 10. And therefore my x is just equal to what? To 2. So x is equal to what? 2. Y is equal to 3. X is equal to what? Is equal to 2. Okay. So if you'd like, you could replace that there and see what you're going to what you're going to get. So if we place in here, you have 11 plus 10i. Down there, you have 2 plus what? 3i. And then, so you first have to rationalize this by multiplying by its conjugate, that is 2 minus 3 what? 3i. Then there are 2 minus 3i. So on top there, that gives you 22. 11 by that gives you negative 33i. This by that there gives you, that is going to be positive 20i. And then you have this multiplied by that there is going to give you negative 30. And then you have the I squared. Down there you have 2 squared, and then plus what? 3 squared. So here you're going to get this I squared, that's going to put a negative there. You get negative what? Negative 1 gives you positive. So you can add that 30 plus what? Plus 22. It gives you 52. Then here subtract, that is 33 minus the 20. So here you get negative what? 13, and then I. Down there, 2 squared is just 4 plus 3 squared is just 9. So you have 4 plus 9 gives you 13. So 13 divides into, so 52 divided by 13 gives us 4. And 13 into 13 is just 1. So you get I. And you see you get this other side there, which proves that our answers are correct. Okay, let's do the next one. So next one, you have x plus yi over 4 plus I, and then you have that to be 5 minus I over 1 plus I is equal to 3 minus what? 6I. So what we're going to do is we're going to rationalize the what? The denominator for each of these. So you just have x plus yi there, multiplied by its conjugate of that denominator, which is 4 plus I. Its conjugate is going to be 4 minus I. Even there, 4 minus I. So I'll start with the first one, this one, and then we'll move on to the other part. So this is going to be 4, this x multiplied by the 4, you get 4x. X multiplied by the I, you get negative what? I, xi, and then you have this yi multiplied by the 4, you get 4yi, and then this multiplied by that is going to give you negative yi squared, but that I squared is just negative 1. So when I replace, I'm going to get this is going to be positive, and then I'll remain with y. Down there, I square the 4, and then plus square the 1. So this here is going to be, I group this, that is the real part, is going to be 4x plus y, and then the imaginary part, that is going to be negative x there, then plus what? 4, and then 4y, and then what? Your I there. Down there, you just have, that's going to be 4 squared, that's 16, plus the 1 squared is just going to be 1. So 1 plus 16 is at 17. So you get this one here. So I'll keep it here, 4x plus y, plus you have negative x there, then plus 4y, and then the I, like that, over what? 17. Okay, so this is what I get. Then let me do now the second part. So the second part there, you have 5 minus I over 1 plus I. So you multiply this by conjugate of the denominator, that is 1 minus I, 1 minus I. So you say 5 plus that, 5 multiplied by 1 gives you 5. 5 multiplied by that gives you negative 5I. Then that by that gives you negative I. That by that gives you positive I squared, which is just negative what? Negative 1. So we can place there by negative 1. So that's going to give me negative 1. Down there, you just say 1 squared plus what? 1 squared. And then here you subtract, you get 4. There you add, you get negative what? 6I over 2. So 2 into that 1 gives you, that there gives you 2. 2 into there gives you 3I. So this is what I get for that other one. Then I just replace here. So replacing, you just have, that is 4x plus y, and then plus negative x plus 4y, and then the I over what? Over 17. Then there you have plus, that is 2 minus 3 what? 3I. And then this is equal to 3 minus 6 what? 6I. then I'll say 4x plus y, like that, and then plus that negative x plus 4y, and then the I outside over what, 17. Then I can take this the other side, and I'll just have, this will be negative 2, then 3 minus 2 gives me 1, and this here becomes positive, and you have negative 6i plus 3i, which just gives you negative what? 3i. So you get negative 3i here. This is what we are getting. Then I can cross multiply this with what I have there. So I cross multiply, and I just have this is going to give me, that is 4x plus y, and then you have plus that negative x plus 4yi is equal to 17 there if I multiply, and then 17 multiplied by 3 just gives me 51, so that will be minus 51, and then I. Okay, so now I can equate the real part to the real part, the imaginary part to the what? Imaginary part. So I get 4x plus y equal to what? 17. And then you have negative x plus 4y equal to what? Negative 51. So I use this one here again. So I get negative. Then I take this one the other side. I get negative 51 minus what? 4y. Then I divide by negative 1 throughout, just get x is equal to 51 minus 4, plus, that is 4y. So in this other equation where there's x, I'm going to replace that there. So I get 4 over, then I get 51 plus 4 what? Y, and then you have a plus what? Y is equal to 17. So this here is going to give me, so 51 multiplied by 4, that there is just going to give me 204, and then 4 by 4 just gives you 16. So you get 16y and then plus y equal to what? 17. So I add these here too, I get 17y is equal to, take that the other side, I'll have negative of that, or that would be negative 104, then plus that 17 there. So this here gives me negative 187 over 17 over what? 17. I say that over what? 17. And I get this, I divide there, just get that this implies y is just going to be equal to negative, that gives me negative, I get negative 11. So this is what I get, negative 11. And then I go back to this equation, and then I replace my y. So I get 51 plus 4, then 11 there. Then this will be 51, 51 plus, then that would be what? 44. 44, there I get 5, and then that would be 90 what? 95. So I get that to be 95. Okay, so this is my what? My answer for this one. All right, let's do the last part here. Okay. Okay, so let's now do the last one. So for the last one, you have 11 minus 30 minus 3i, that is over 3 plus I, and then you have plus 7 plus I, then over x plus yi is equal to 4 plus what? I. So here I'm going to first rationalize this. So I get 11 minus 3i multiplied by the conjugate of that denominator. I have that's 3 minus I over 3 minus I is just going to give me, that is 33. Then I multiply that 11, get 11i, that there I get 9i, and then I have that there is just going to give me negative what? 3. Then over 3 squared is 9 plus 1, and then this gives me 30 minus 20i over what? Over 10. which just simplifies to 3 minus 2 what? 2I. Okay, so this is what I get, and then after getting that, I can take this the other side, the value that I get, because that there will give me 3 minus 2I, but I can take that the other side of the what? Of the equal sign, which just leaves me on the left side with 7 plus I over there you have x plus what? Plus yi, and then that equal to, take it the other side, you have that will be 4 minus the 3, which will give you 1, and then you have that negative with positive, so you get 3, you add to that what? So it will be 2 plus the I, which just gives you 3 what? 3I. Okay, so this is what you're going to get. Then over 1 here, so it means I can then cross multiply here. So I cross multiply, I'm just going to have that this is just this here, I get x, and then that there it will be plus what? 3 ix there, and then you have that by that you get that is yi, and that by that gives you that is 3yi, and then squared is equal to 7 plus 1. Okay, and then this here just gives me, so this here is going to be on this side, I can, where there's the I squared, I put the -1, so I get that to be x minus 3 what? 3y. I group it like that, and then I group the part with the imaginary part, which is has that I, that will be plus, and then have x here. I have 3x, so that will be 3x plus what? Plus y, and then the I is equal to what? 17. This is I here, plus 7 what? 7I. I mean 7 plus I. Okay, and then this here, I can now equate the real part to the real part and the imaginary part to the imaginary part. So I have x minus 3y is equal to 7, and then you have 3x plus y equal to what? To 1. So this here can make x subject, which is just going to be 7 plus 3 what? 3y. Then I can replace it in there, so I have 3, 7 plus 3y, then plus y is equal to 1. So this will be 21, then plus what? 9y, then plus y equal to 1. So when I add this, I get 10. I take this other side, I get -1. So this I get 10y, that -21, which just gives me, plus that 1 gives me negative what? 20. Divide by 10, divide by 10, I get y is equal to negative what? 2. Okay, so that's the value of what? Of y that I found, -2. Replacing it in there, I get x is equal to 7, then plus 3 multiplied by that -2. So this will give me 7. I multiply that there, I'll get that will be just minus 6. And then this here just gives me x is equal to what? To 1. So the values of x, that is x is equal to 1, and y is equal to what? -2. So that's the value of what? X and y. Okay, we can do the next one. So the next one here is telling us that z is that, and then z2 is that. We should find that is the modulus of z1 and z2. So first of all here, the first one you see z1 and z2 like this. It means they're multiplying. So we're going to multiply, that is 1 minus 3i multiplied by 4 minus 3 what? I. So this here is going to be 1 by that gives me what? 4. 1 by that gives me -3i. And 3 by that gives me negative what? 12i. That by that gives me positive 3i squared. And then you have, that is 4, this will be negative what? 3. So you have 4 minus 3. There you add, you get negative what? 15i. And there you get 1 minus what? 15i. So this is what we get when we multiply those two. Okay, so that's 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. So that's what we get when we multiply those two. Now, when they're saying Z1, Z2, and then modulus, what this here, this, we should recall that the modulus of Z is just equal to, that is A squared plus what? B squared. So we're going to do the same. Our A in this case is what? 1. So I'm going to square 1 plus, then our B is just negative what? 15, like that. And this here is just going to be equal to, that is 1 plus what? 15 squared. 15 squared is just going to be 20 what? 25. So 225 plus 1 is just 22 what? 226. Then I get the square root of that. So this is going to be equal to 220 what? 226. So that's 226. Can I write it in any simpler form? 226. What are you? 226 divided by, okay, 226. Okay, so 226 divided by 16. And see if I can get a perfect square from there. 226 divided by 5, no, 6. Okay, can't seem to get any perfect. What's this? I guess you then just end it here. Okay, since you cannot simplify it further there, but if you can, just find the number that you can divide there, then simplify it what further. So all right, so let's move on now to the next one. So the next one, you have getting the absolute value of Z1 plus Z2 like this, but then you're adding first. So let's find Z1 plus what? Plus Z2. So we know that when it comes to adding of these numbers, of complex numbers, you add component wise. That is the real part to the real part, the imaginary part, the imaginary part. So this would be 1 plus the what? 4, which gives me 5. And then you have this negative 3 plus negative what? 3 there gives you negative what? 6i. So you get now the magnitude of that. That Z1 plus Z2 bar is just going to be 5 squared, then plus and negative 6 what? Squared. So this here is just going to give us square root of that there will be what? 25. That there will be what? 36. Okay, so what do we get? We add those two here. We have 25 plus 36 gives me 61. Can I write that 61 in any simpler form? I do not think so. No, that's 61 divided by 11. No, 61. I don't think we can write it any further. So just leave it here that way. Okay, so that's how you would solve these questions on complex numbers. If you are new to this video, to this channel, remember to subscribe. And to access more of such solutions, you can visit our website, that is at Discrete Learning. So what you do, just go open your browser like that, then you can type in Discrete Learning, and then this takes you to this here, and then just go on mathematics there, and then you go on general mathematics, this folder here, Then you see you have topic, lessons, summarized notes, tutorial sheets. You can go on tutorial sheets there, and then you choose your institution. So if you're at UNZA, you choose UNZA, and then you are going to have all these options depending on what math you are going to choose. You choose, and then you can access those tutorial sheets there. Okay, this has been Tutor Marius, and I'll see you in the next one.